Hallo und herzlich willkommen.
Hello and welcome. These are the Audi Media Days, and I'm delighted to know that you have hooked on and are with us here. Of course, you may have been with us already yesterday when it was all about corporate and business on day one, and today the spotlight is on digitalization. A very important topic for us, probably also for you in your industry. Transformation is, of course, the catchphrase of the moment, and we've got exciting topics in store for you. It's all about digital business models, sales models, new business models that are digitized, the connected car, and the digitalization of production and logistics. But we don't just want to talk with ourselves, we also look forward to the exchange with you. So, it's a matter of talking in the Q&A session with you. Well, of course, you can send any questions as we talk already by using the chat function on the corresponding microsite. So that is actually something we really look forward most of all. But all in all, we want to spend the day to prove to you what we're working on, what we're planning, what we've got in store, what we're already offering as we speak. We want to prove to you that we at Audi are future ready. And we here at Audi have plenty of progress ongoing. And that is exactly what our board member for sales and marketing, Hildegard Wortmann, will open up the show. So Hildegard, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Wolfgang. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The automotive industry is currently experiencing the largest transformation in its history, and the key drivers are electrification and digitalization. We at Audi see it as an opportunity and want to position ourselves at the forefront of this change. We have a chance now to rethink the car entirely. Thanks to digitalization, mobility is becoming just as simple, flexible, individual and interconnected as my smartphone. Today, services and features from Audi are already ensuring that the car integrates seamlessly into this digital life of our customers. But it is no longer only a question of getting from A to B. It is about more than that. The car is becoming a personal experience device in which living space and working space merge. Fully electric, empathetic, intelligent, up-to-date and secure. The digitalization of the entire customer journey is becoming a USP, a differentiator. Just as it feels like we have our entire life on our smartphone today, tomorrow we will also have it in our Audi experience device. And we will experience and use it in a completely new way. Watching films, immersing ourselves in video games, working through emails, using social media, and keeping an eye on our health. All of that is coming. It will be immersive and fascinating, and above all, it will give you time, the most precious commodity. Time that you can use in a completely different way. Mobility providers like us are universal service providers that facilitate these freedoms, these personal freedoms. Because today, customers are excited by experiences, not just by technology. And that is how we create a unique, high-class experience for our customers. And it is a matter of a seamless and intuitive customer journey. We are making buying all products and services a consistent and emotive premium brand experience through all touchpoints and stages of sale, as well as in the markets. And to do so, we have reorganized ourselves extensively and continue to focus on software and IT. In digital sales, we are already progress. If a potential customer is interested in an Audi, we are also using virtual consultation and service offerings. To sell an Audi, we follow an integrated, premium, omni-channel approach. We want to create a central e-commerce platform that incorporates all the services that customers are looking for. When it comes to using an Audi, the My Audi app is the key for the digitally connected world of the four rings. Our functions-on-demand offering is also an example of digitalization. This allows you to register additional equipment features or services in the vehicle, online, and also after buying the vehicle. Our customers and also their consultants in the dealerships can use this to respond flexibly to different requirements. Because unlike purely online brands, we combine the strengths of online sales with those of bricks and mortar business. For me, this is human centricity. Whether online or offline, only you decide where and how you want to communicate with Audi. We offer all options for doing so. And update by update, we continue to build on this progress, and we are expanding our ecosystem with international partners that generate the greatest added value for our customers. Ladies and gentlemen, future is an attitude.
An attitude.
We at Audi have the right attitude, a clear vision, and we are already acting today. Our customers experience that whenever they are in contact with Audi, online, at our dealerships, and especially in their own Audi vehicles. With electrification, we are already demonstrating our transformational power. Extensive digital networking and our software development are now generating even more speed. As a result, we are also accelerating the development of autonomous driving, the next major game changer for mobility. Here too, we are already making headway very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be surprised. We are progress, because the future is now.
Well, thanks, Hildegard. Maybe you already have felt the first inspiration here for your questions, so don't hesitate to send them in via the microsend by using the chat function. But now, first of all, we'll like to collect you and show you what we are at Audi doing. And now we're talking about the digital customer journey with Boris Meiners, who's our head of the digital business portfolio, and Andreas Sicheneder, he is CEO of the Audi Business Innovation. So we just call it the AB at Audi. Now, Boris, Hildegard just gave us here an overview, and we heard from her that digitalization is more or less going to become a USP. What does that mean to you? Well, let's take digitalization and, of course, electrification. I mean, these are the two drivers of the transformation in the automotive industry. It facilitates us to think the car completely anew. And digitalization affects all parts of the car, i.e. the product. But on the other hand, of course, also how our customers, when they are in touch with us, with our brand, in every contact point, in their first interest, right through to the usage of the car and services. Well, look, we're here in a huge transformation process, Andy. I mean, you've been outsourced in a way. You're a speedboat from Audi, and you've got a very specific challenge ahead of you when it comes to digitalization. Indeed. We are really right bang in the transformation process. I mean, it's the change between the physical world, where the customer sets foot in the dealership, has a look at the product, and the digital world. We are convinced that the digital services, bookable functions, for example, in the combination of a vehicle and the ecosystem will be super central for the success and therefore for the mobility of the future. What's more, of course, we are in the step, or taking a step towards electric mobility, that is battery electric powered vehicles, and that means, of course, here the requirements to the ecosystem are becoming more and more central and therefore taking center stage. Now these challenges are for us, of course, global. I mean, Boris, you've just come back from a longer stint secondment in China. But tell us, what's the importance digitalization has in China, which is, of course, our biggest market, no? Indeed. What I experienced in China is that the requirements to digitally connected cars in China are completely different. They are much, much higher. And that's why we already today, as Audi, are offering in China functions such as, for example, if you go for a petrol refuel or parking space, all of that can be done completely touchless for the paying process. So these applications are completely seamless, contactless. You don't have to set foot out of the car, you don't have to lower the window. You just go in and go out, and it's easy, it's smooth, and it's seamless. But of course, it's not just a matter of pure driving and the experience on board. But what we want to do is to have the entire process digitalized, from the first interest in an Audi car, maybe right through to buying a new car. Exactly, that's right. And that's why we at Audi are looking at the entire customer journey. And you just mentioned it yourself, from the first contact right through to the purchase and the usage. And of course, at the end, even the resale of the car, maybe then the new purchase of an Audi. So against this background, we have split up the journey into 4 phases. We call it I consider, I choose, I use, and I reconsider. And within these 4 phases, we have, well, our planning is in such a way that both can be done online and offline, at any time you can have an offer from Audi as a customer, and the customer can then choose from their own personal journey when and where they want to do something digitally, online or offline, when they go, for example, to the dealer and when they want to use these offers. So that's the choice of the customer, which is important for us. Wow, that is fascinating. I mean, just recently, we never thought that meetings would only be conducted online, but today it's standard fare, isn't it? And of course, in the corona pandemic, we've learned an enormous lot. So what could you deduce from that? That's a good point that you make there, Wolfgang. I mean, in the past, customers had their entire journey. If they wanted to buy a car, they would go to the dealer. That's no longer the case as we speak. Of course, accelerated by the pandemic. But what we know today is that 98% of our customers, before they ever set foot in a dealership, have received digital information up front. They've looked at the cars, configured them up front, and already have deep knowledge of the cars before they see it in the dealership. We supplement this with further digital solutions such as the Audi Live consultation, where the customer can sit quite comfortably at home on this easy chair, like we are here in the lounge, and is in touch with the dealership and then gets a consultation advice without having to set foot outside his own comfort zone. Should he, however, nonetheless in that journey decide, no, he wants to go to a dealer, then we will support him there with further digital formats and modules, like, for example, well, high resolution and premium appropriate 3D visualizations of the cars, so that every conceivable opportunity and possibility of the cars we can offer can be shown and demonstrated to the customer. Now, in every online configuration that the customer does, he has the possibility to, well, download a code, then upload that code in the dealership and continue in his configuration, and also change, for example, to an online and offline consultation. And of course, he also can book a test drive online. So it's super easy, super straightforward to experience the car. Yeah. We, in Munich, for example, we're working in making the customer journey more and more digitally expanded, also more seamless, and that means the ecosystem will be further expanded as we go along. Interesting. I mean, that's probably new for many in Europe, but in China, this is everyday fare already. So how does this digital journey continue, Andy? I mean, if the customer decides to buy an Audi digitally. Well, principally speaking, we know and we notice, of course, that the wish for digitalization when buying a car becomes ever more prominent. Customers want to receive upfront information. And I mean, before you actually buy is already very digital. And you can, for example, receive online leasing offers, you can make online queries, how do you finance the car? That's something that's very much now anchored online on the internet. It's always available, wherever you are, at any time. And that's exactly what makes the thing so smooth, seamless, and so wonderful for the customer. Correct. And of course, the technological solutions that we at Audi are building will be further expanded together with the dealers, will be rolled out still further together with our dealership network and bringing them to the world. While, as we speak already, of course, we've got plenty of e-commerce offers which are live in many markets as we speak for new vehicles, for those on inventory or for used cars. Now, nonetheless, let us just briefly take another look at the phase where the customer will actually sit in the car physically. Because, of course, I mean, this is which you will also, when you test the cars you want to experience, the tangible experience, or if you decide to go for an Audi yourself, what use opportunities has the Audi driver got here? But I think the My Audi app is, I think, a central element here. That is, shall we say, the ingress, the access route. I mean, how he can receive information about the car, the data, or his personal data can, of course, also be stored and administered. Moreover, I mean, the services become more and more personalized, individualized. So in the My Audi app, you will have the possibility to book individual services on top. So it becomes more and more customer-oriented. And of course, the access to the car is super easy. That is the My Audi app. I mean, everybody has to understand, I mean, every customer is different, isn't he? Right. You're quite right there. And that's why we put so much effort onto the personalization in the digitalization, which means here we are trying to make sure that we've got the right service, the right offer for the customer at every time where he needs it. And that, of course, will become ever more important as we go forward. So the claim of this event is to be future ready, meaning we're already looking at the digital customer journey of tomorrow. And I mean, Boris, you and your team are working on this. Can you already tell us a little, take a look at the crystal ball? Well, what we're doing today is already looking more and more at the various customer contact points which each user and customer has with us, to harmonize them, to bring them to a uniform approach, so that the customers can have a very intuitive, a very personal approach, and can be routed thus through the mobility world at Audi. Because at the end of the day, for us, it's a matter of offering a consistent premium experience that is unmistakably Audi, and which, of course, also, brings the brand experienceable at the digital touch points. That's the one thing. And of course, the other thing is that, as we already mentioned earlier, we look at the entire journey, and we want to make the entire business models digital, and also, we'll set up new digital business models, and at the end of the day, we'll then use these digital technologies in the sales unit, in the after sales, and in the marketing department. I think what's important here, Boris, is of course that we provide a corresponding platform, a platform where the customer can retrieve integrated services quite easily, and from the new sale of a new vehicle, maintenance, for example, and also the used vehicle offers, to have one simplified platform that is unified. Now, many of our guests will say, well, look, I mean, the digital customer journey, that's something that normally started with the dealer. So what's the role that the dealerships are going to play in future if everything is now going to be digitalized? Well, no, the dealers remain and are an important asset for us. Why? Because online and offline are no contradiction. No, they are mutually interlinked. And if you get them seamlessly integrated, then you have a consistent experience. And of course, once more, it's the customer's choice at the end of the day. He decides what he wants, whether he wants to go digital online, or does he want to take and pick and choose by going to the dealership, offline, on-site, by talking to the people he meets or he has known for many, many years at the dealer. And that, of course, also in interplay with the Audi brand. Now, I said it earlier, the Audi business innovation is really looking at special digital issues. And you are, shall we say, you're not just right in the midst of the transformation, you're actually a few years ahead, aren't you, of that transformation. What are the challenges you're facing? Well, look, Wolfgang, in your daily work, you can't go much further than 1 or 2 years, because the speed of change is so high. That's what we noticed over the last years. Things that are planned over the long term never really materialize as such. You have to be able to react very swiftly, very quickly, and adjust accordingly in your working manner and also the issues you address. What we can say is, of course, that digitalization has become a USP. It has become a clear differentiator. It differentiates and sets us apart from competitors, what we can see from them and what we can and want to offer. And I think making services available, focusing on providing a seamless customer journey will be a key factor for the future. And this is something we're working on. We're working flat out on this, and with a lot of pressure, I must say. And I'd say with lust and enjoyment and enthusiasm. You're right, Andy. But nonetheless, I mean, with all of the daily work, we still keep remaining focused on the future, and where we might soon have an automated or autonomous drive experience. And there, we want to be able to have an ecosystem that will be very much focused on the experiences while you drive. Because, of course, the task of driving will be assumed more and more by the vehicle, affording you completely new possibilities. And so we think the vehicle will transform into what we would call an experience device. I can think completely anew what experiences will become possible in the car, and in the end of the day, the customers will then have a completely new drive experience and will use the car quite differently. Well, thank you very much for that chat, Andreas and Boris. These were an overview of the possibilities digitalization affords us. And of course, if the car now becomes an experience device, if drive time becomes free time, then of course also the cabin becomes more and more important.
I'm Christiane Zorn. I'm the head of product marketing at Audi. I'm Renate Fachenauer, responsible for the development of the interior and of interaction, as well as for displays, operating concepts, and data management. We at Audi are convinced. Thanks to digitalization, mobility is becoming more personal, more intelligent, and safer. And that is a key driver for the mobility experience of the future. The topic of a holistic, digital ecosystem also plays a major role. In technical development, our focus is not only on integrating the digital worlds that our customers occupy in a safe and stable way. Ultimately, this is also a question of data privacy. But in particular, our focus is also on how we can simultaneously create a premium experience that never fails to delight our users, day in, day out. Today, we are achieving that through an intelligent operating concept on the one hand, and through very fast, simple connection of our smartphones on the other. In addition, we are integrating a variety of apps and services in our infotainment system, such as Amazon Music or even Alexa. In China and for China, we have developed a very special device. It runs an Android-based operating system and provides an app store to enable even better integration of the customer's ecosystem. We are continuing to press ahead with this topic for the international markets too. But a very important advantage from my perspective is the enrichment of our customers' ecosystem, because with our vehicles, we are able to offer services that are not possible in that form with consumer electronics. In the area of battery electric vehicles especially, that becomes particularly clear when it comes to charging or vehicle management. That's right. Online services play a very important role in the use of our e-tron vehicles in particular. Their importance and relevance is confirmed very clearly by customer feedback. But for me, digitalization amounts to more than just digital services. Above all, a customer-oriented, progressive interior with various displays and interactive features is very clearly part of a genuine Audi too. What do you think, Renate? Absolutely, Christiane. I share your view entirely. We are providing a complete experience for all the senses that is both emotive and orchestrated. And we want to make it absolutely convincing by adding a new spatial dimension in the interior. Let's take our augmented reality head-up display, for example. It is a technology that combines the virtual and real worlds in a completely new way. Let me sum it up like this. Innovative and interconnected functions of the future require the architecture of the interior and of the display and operating concept to merge into one unit. Exactly. It is particularly important to factor in all occupants, not only the driver, because the passengers also occupy an important role in the experience-oriented interior of the future. We already demonstrated how entertaining and innovative such solutions can look with the HoloRide showcase at CES 2019. And of course, these trends have a major influence on technical development. Definitely. Highly automated driving, for example, will bring about completely new user behavior for our customers. Because now we are at a point where drive time will really become free time. As a result, entirely new customer wishes will be possible, and we will adapt our interior of the future to those, as well as variable seat positions that need to create an ideal feeling of space in a variety of use cases. Many other areas are involved, such as spectacular sound or interior lighting effects. In order to achieve these goals, we must, of course, get to know our customers even better, and we have already launched numerous projects to that end. We are using artificial intelligence to record the wishes and statements of our customers in the most accurate way. But that really is a topic for a separate presentation. Yes, you're absolutely right there, Renate. But it's true. We survey our customers regularly. We listen closely and analyze trends and technologies, including those from other areas and industries. And I am truly convinced that we will also delight our customers in the future with a variety of additional functions, and thus create a sense of loyalty to the brand. For the entire display and experience worlds in our Audi vehicles, we are planning lots of new innovations for the future together. So get ready to be surprised.
With the digitalization, obviously, the entire business model is changing. Audi's business model, and maybe not just of the automotive industry, but of the entire industry. And that's what we will talk about next. How are we doing this at Audi? And that's together with Felix Schwabe. He's our head of digital business development at Audi. Now, there's an exciting topic there, Felix, that you are taking care of. How's Audi ready and preparing itself for this? Tell us a little about the potential you see? Well, Audi has been for years fully focused on digitalization and data-based services. That's our advantage, because this way we've been able to have plenty of enablers already in our cars, because you already have services on the road today. And that's an issue that I would say we can already observe today, whether that's, for example, swarm services, whether that's new insurance policies, telematic insurance policies, all of that can already be experienced live in our cars. Now, where do you get all that data from? And how do you manage to create new services and functions? Well, look, that's really the core job of the digital business development. Because on the one hand, we've got the customer. They change. We now speak about the user. We speak about the experience. And the time that the user spends in our cars is changing. We need to understand which services, which products does he want to have? What is he ready and willing to share his data with? And on the other hand, we've got the car, the technology, the data available. At what frequencies are they available? And these two worlds are merged together. That means the user, our customers, they shall have the best experiences and the best services that he may use privately or for business reasons. Now, very good and valuable information that, of course, you can draw from these data. So what's the customer benefit that maybe our viewers would be interested in? What's the benefit for the user and the customer if we use their data? Well, the potential of data is enormous. Allow me to give you an example here, an example in case. You're sitting in the car and you want to drive from Munich to Berlin. Now imagine you are rolling out of Munich with green lights, all at the traffic lights, because the information is received directly by the car. You're warned of any hazards on the road, slippery roads, snow, poor visibility. All of that optimized and will make your drive much more comfortable and safe. Then you will receive information about traffic, petrol stations, charging stations, or you get current traffic information upplayed into the car. And that mix of these services is already live, and of course a lot more will come our way in future. Now, when we speak about this, of course, data protection is something we need to consider as well. That's a central topic here for us at Audi. Maybe we can just tell our customers how we deal and what we do with data protection. Very good point, very important point, Wolfgang. Data protection is very close to us, and it's vitally important. The basis is the German Data Protection Act, or data protection as such. With data, of course, you have to distinguish between two pots, so to say. You have the anonymized data and you've got the personalized data. We use or put great effort in having data anonymized in such a way that it's impossible to, well, deduce the individual car or customer. And that's what we call the swarm data. With personalized data, for us, it's extremely important that the customer at any time, at all times, has, so to say, sovereign decision which data am I willing to share, which services do I want to use, and which data do I not want to share. But even that is not enough for us yet, no, and that's why we have developed what we call a privacy mode. Now, imagine it's like on your cell phone with a flight mode. If you activate the flight mode, no data will leave your car, except those that are statutorily required, like, for example, the automatic hazard or breakdown call. Interesting. Now, have you got specific norms, standards, regulations that give us a very clear framework here? Indeed, especially the European Union is really in the lead here worldwide, and I think that's extremely important. That's the only way that we can provide a high standard of data protection and a safe data economy. We, as Audi, are very active in this. We are proactive here. We already are on board in an early phase. We monitor, we observe the norms, standards and regulations and are co-shapers. For example, have a look at extended vehicle, as we call it. It's a standardized ISO standard with which we define which data can be transferred free of discrimination, fair and safely with third parties, and in which way that transfer happens. Are you actually actively cooperating in the thrashing out of these standards? Yes, of course, of course. Like, for example, the current issues of data protection. That's something that for us as an OEM is vitally important, and here we're really at the front of the development. We're in the lead almost. We co-shape these ISO standards, but also active in their future direction. And I can promise you, in the next few years, plenty of these rules and regulations will come to the market worldwide. And here we are ready, or we're right in the midst in their development, which of course offers our customers an extreme high standard of data protection. So we are right in the midst of a very exciting topic of, as we also see, new business models afforded to us by digitalization. I mean, I know there's people out there that don't like it and some that are partners. You're right. I mean, the whole digitalization is, of course, predestined for forming new partnerships and corporations. Allow me to give you two examples. Principally important is the fact that the user experiences an added value. And so, with our partner here, we brought their technology and their map material and merged that with our information. The result of that is high-resolution maps with current information on traffic jams, on traffic situations, on hazard situations, or, well, traffic flow. Another example that I'd like to bring is from the category of HoloRide and entertainment. It's a startup that we founded in 2018 and which affords a completely new experience in the entertainment area. In this, we combine vehicle data with entertainment data. That means you have a super elastic content so that you can watch on your VR goggles, and with that, you've got the feeling, well, you're completely out there in space and time. I mean, for people that would normally have motion sickness, hey, for them, we can reduce that motion sickness almost to zero with that, and that's all possible thanks to vehicle data. And this is something that I must say, you Audi viewers, you have to try it yourself. This is great. In Salzburg at the famous Opera Festival, there were some festival participants that were chauffeured in our Audi vehicles in the back and had a historic city tour offered to them, which is slightly different, but of course that was possible with all that augmented reality. So, Felix, thank you very much. That was very exciting talking to you. We will have you back on the Q&A round. I just want to recall and remind you, send your questions ready now, because with the chat function on the micro side, you can send in your questions as we talk, and then we'll get started very quickly soon, later in the Q&A session, because we don't just want to present these things to you, but we want to talk and chat with you online, and we look forward to it. And therefore, maybe, or just an opinion from you, and of course also your questions that we will then seek to answer. Okay, so far we've only spoken about the possibilities of digitalization, but now let's have a look at the technical requirements, preconditions. And we're back here, as you can see, in a new constellation. And now I have plenty of experts here ready with me. Experts that are all immersed in the connectivity of the car, the 5G technology and the likes. And that, of course, is vitally important to understand what we have in plan and in store. What are the technical requirements for our cars? Now, let me start by introducing the gentleman here. Christoph Vogt, here. He's our head of development, connectivity, mobile communications, Car2X and the likes. So anything to do with the connectivity with the wider infrastructure. Next to me, I've got Andres Theuss. He's project manager, and he coordinates anything to do with safety and security, and he works for CARIAD, so our special agency for software development. We'll come back to that later. And we've got Jörg Plechinger. He's our expert to do with connectivity, head of mobile connectivity platform, and well, anything to do with 5G technology. And maybe, Christoph, I can start with you, because we as Audi, as an OEM, we will by default be the first one to offer 5G as default onto the road. Now, what's so special about this new mobile communication standard 5G? Well, 5G will be a huge leap when it comes to data rate compared with LTE. We assume that about 20 gigabit per second are possible in downline, about 10 gigabytes in the uplink. That's the potential, and that's quite a bit, I can tell you. But we will also see a much better latency of just a few milliseconds, as well as a guaranteed quality of service. And these two features are for us as a car manufacturer so important, because with a swift and fast communication that's reliable, we can make driving a car more safe. Now, why is 5G such a game changer? Why is this topic, this issue, so hot? Jörg, to you. That's your hot potato, isn't it? Well, I'd say 5G is a game changer because, of course, in combination with CV2X, it means that for the first time we can now have autonomous and, I would say, above all, cooperative vehicles, cars that can communicate, can talk with one another. And what that really means, well, that's something that Jörg can tell you to explain to you. Yes, CV2X means cellular vehicle to everything, the communication of the car with its environs, using the mobile communication technology. And with the new 5G communication, our car can now communicate with other cars. But of course, the technology can also be used for communication with traffic lights and anything else like a parking garage or complex route guidance systems. But Audi has been researching for years in the connectivity of vehicles. So can you give us a few examples? Indeed. Let's have a look at the United States. We have a famous case that we tested there, and that is the four-way stop. Anybody who's been to the States knows this. You come to an intersection, normally the one who arrived first has the right of way. If it's unclear, then the traffic participants have to communicate and coordinate by, well, hand-waving or whatever. And with CV2X in the United States, we've been able to resolve this by developing an algorithm that will show the driver which sequence they can all go over the intersection, so everybody can pass the intersection sound and safely. Wow, you realize already, this topic of connectivity is something that is very much to do with safety and security. We've got another example, ladies and gentlemen, namely when it comes to pedestrian protection. Right, that's something we did in Europe. Here we collaborated with partners in Turin in 2019, where we had 5G communication deployed. For example, if a pedestrian is inattentive on the road, then with 5G, the driver in the road, in the car, and the pedestrian can be warned, and thus their safety can be increased. Another example was something we did together with Ducati in our customer experience center in Neuburg. Here, we did what is, of course, if you go and turn into a road without no right of way, if you head into that as a cyclist, of course, you need to be warned, or anybody coming on the road with the right of way, so that there's no danger upcoming when you turn into such a major road. Now, you can, of course, imagine, dear viewers, you listening, that there's quite a few bits and bytes flying around here, and, of course, going through the, well, cable harness in the car. And now that brings CARIT on board, our software development hub. I mean, everybody's been talking about it, and the IAA at the International Automotive, as to say, fair, you will have and see them with their own booth, and you have to visit them to see what we are really developing, shall we say, out of the heart of Audi, developing for the entire heart. So, Andreas, tell us, what are you working on right now? Well, the huge potential of 5G to the CV2X is, of course, something that will, well, develop technologies and concrete projects. For example, right now in the United States, we're looking at risk situations for a particularly endangered group, that's the school children on their way. So those cars that will come into what we call a snail pace area will automated receive a warning prompt from CV2X. And those cars that need to be warned, for example, if there's a school bus nearby where children come in or out, will also be warned. And it's these kind of projects that later on then will give rise to the new functions for serial production. And that, of course, brings us right into the media days, right on, bang on, because these are, shall we say, inspiration for your stories, dear viewers, and we've got lots more of them, because we spoke about China earlier, which is, of course, our biggest sales market. Now, we know the Chinese are very, well, they're almost, I would say, technology affine and beloved. What do you plan for the Chinese market? Well, in China, we will have the first functions on the basis of CV2X technology coming to serial production in combination with 5G. That's for the start of the A6 and A7 long wheelbase version, and then in the further sequence for further models that are coming to the Chinese market. Now, these cars will send and receive warnings if there's a breakdown in another car, if there's an accident, or if there's poor visibility. And they receive that not via the cloud, but they communicate directly with all other Audi cars that are ready for reception in their environs. And what's more, these cars will receive a spontaneous warning if the car up front is braking strongly, and with that, there's the potential of hitting that car, especially if you can't see that car that's taking such a sharp brake up front. Wow. Now, this car-to-X communication is a very complex working field, which I know, and I'm sure our viewers know as well. So, I mean, you have to imagine, a car need not only communicate with all the other cars, it has to communicate with the ambient environments, with the infrastructure. How do you manage all this? Well, for us personally, a major challenge was, of course, to define what we call communication standards and rules and regulations with other OEMs. Because, of course, at the end of the day, our joint objective is to improve traffic safety. And it's only possible if everybody can benefit from it. And that means, of course, we need the support, and we get that in China, especially from the authorities. And I mean, as you can imagine, this way only could we develop these kind of use cases. For example, a warning for any emergency police cars coming away. That could be quickly brought to serial production. Once more, what about China? Is China really an innovation driver here? Oh, absolutely. It's not just the authorities and regulations. No, it's the Chinese customers as well. They just expect to have the latest digital functions on board the car. And so far, it was only obvious to start with the 5G network in China. And of course, accordingly, I mean, the Chinese market is developing at the moment more and more, especially when you look at digitalization, to becoming a trailblazer. Now, Christoph, we heard earlier already from Boris Meiners and Andreas Sicheneder that the car is becoming an experience device. So the drive time is becoming free time. Now, to what extent are the 5G technologies connectivity playing a role for you in the development? Well, 5G, of course, is vitally important for us because it helps us to make the customer experience even more intense in the car. Vice versa, of course, we can also increase and improve safety. But that's not everything. No, what really keeps us on the move is autonomous vehicles. Because with 5G, we now, for the first time, have the possibility that the cars are cooperating with one another. Cooperating with one another means they are now able to really, look at critical situations and solve them in a combination of their, intercommunication. And to this become possible, we've got the 5G Automotive Association that we co-established, whose chairman, by the way, I am. That has brought us to a point that now for the first time we are in a position where we can have the 5G standard defined collectively and can develop it collectively. And since then, of course, as an automotive producer, 5G is so important. It is not just a pure telecommunication standard, but it is actually an automotive standard or co-automotive standard. So, if you have any questions on 5G, on connectivity, the Q&A session will be the point to really address them and to delve deeper into these issues. And you can do so by just using the microsite, where you can send in your questions over the chat function. But first of all, thanks to you, Christoph, Andres and Jörg. Now, we'll take a leap into the production. Here, the factory right behind us, where the cars are actually really rolling off the assembly line. And here we're looking at the digitalization of production and logistics.
Everything using the space frame. Quattro drives, high-performance engines. Car production has always been a cradle of high-tech. And our smart production is becoming increasingly clever. In many digital technologies, Audi is already a leader in the industry. The coronavirus pandemic has accelerated the digitalization of production further still. At the same time, it's the high degree of digitalization in particular that got us through the pandemic in good shape. Thanks to virtual assembly planning and 3D scanning, we were able to master the ramp-up of the Audi e-tron GT in record time. And thanks to training courses with virtual reality, the production team also took decisive steps forward. Digitalization is never an end in itself. We drive it forward in a targeted way, where it will bring us and our customers a tangible benefit. At the same time, Audi benefits the global production network and interconnectedness within the Volkswagen Group. Individual sites develop pilot projects through to series maturity. Then we roll this technology out worldwide. The Neckarsulm site is playing a key role in this at the moment. In the network of the Automotive Initiative 2025, it's a pilot plant and therefore a living laboratory for the digital transformation. We're already making pioneering contributions to digitalization, to vehicle tracking using RFID technology, and to smart maintenance today. This is where the leading plant for digital production and logistics within the group is being created. But pioneering digital solutions are coming from all sites. However, one thing is clear to us. The smartest thing about a smart production facility is its people. That's why we're enhancing and developing their skills strategically. In line with personal capability, we want to make sure every employee is fully prepared for our digital advances. A lot of reinforcement for our IT team comes from our team on the production lines, for example. That makes me particularly proud. Because in the digital transformation in particular, all of our actions must be aimed at ensuring that production offers a future.
An even more flexible production, an even more digitalized production, more efficient, more digitalized. That's what Peter Kössler in that brief clip announced and, well, told us about. And that's what it's about right next. Which technology do we need for this? And for that, we have the next round of experts here with us in the studio. And we have Britta Neubus next to me, who is looking at digitalization at Audi as the head of data-driven production. Then we've got Michael Korte here next to me. He's responsible for the development of the technologies at the back of it. And we've got Christoph Hagmüller here. He's head of IT services. So thanks for having the three of you here with me. It's exciting. And Britta, I'm asking you, what do you need to drive digitalization in the plants?
Well, first and foremost, data, because digitalization without a solid database is impossible. Every day, we're creating masses of data at all of our sites. So at the moment, we're working very hard on connecting them globally so that we can use these data even better. And what really helps is that we're part of the Volkswagen Group. The Volkswagen Industrial Cloud gathers all of data of machines, plants, and systems of all of our factories and sites. That is a central topic in our software development centers, the SDCs, one's being built in Neckarsulm at the moment. And on the basis of our digital production platforms, the DPPs, we are developing high-performance IT solutions for a connected and smart factory.
Now, that is a message that we like to convey also to the outside world. We are strong because we are part and parcel of a strong group of companies. And we are playing a strong role in that, aren't we, Britta?
Absolutely. Audi has a central role when it comes to digitalization of the Volkswagen Group. As part of the Automotive Initiative 2025, we will take the site in Neckarsulm and turn it into a leading plant and site for digital production and logistics as part of the group. We have partners on our side, for example, the Fraunhofer Institute for Industrial Engineering. The Technical University Munich is also a very important partner, SAP, Capgemini, you name them.
Now, for all of you who don't know where Neckarsulm actually is, well, Neckarsulm is our second big production site in Germany. I mean, we here in Ingolstadt, that's Bavaria, in the south, near Munich. Neckarsulm is a bit over to the southwest, so closer to Stuttgart, and that's where Christoph was working. Now, Christoph, you are working for Audi IT services there, and if you hear what Britta's just said to us, I mean, that's a challenge for you, isn't it? Indeed. But it's an exciting challenge. And with the AI 25, the Automotive Initiative 2025, we want to have a worldwide center of competence for the transformation of factories and sustainable innovation. And especially the Neckarsulm site, given its regional environment, has ideal preconditions for that. Now, and another important precondition to drive forward the digitalization, of course, is, I'd say, the openness of our workforce. We need their commitment, we need their know-how, we need their expertise, and above all, their willingness, their courage to try out something new and to really go along that digital change. Then what's the targets that you're pursuing with the AI25? And what do you expect from the collaboration with the other partners? Well, look, the AI25 has a really holistic approach. We're not just looking at the technological aspect, which of course is vitally important in technology change, but we're also taking good view of person, human people and the organization. So if there's a colleague from the workforce, we offer them clear future perspectives. As Britta said, next to further training and further development of IT structures and systems, we of course also need digital competencies and expertise on all levels of our organization. And here the initiative wants to, well, give the right stimulus. At the same time, with our Nexon plant, we have the possibility to find solutions and, well, have a pilot project to bring them early into serial production and then roll them out for the entire group. And then as part of Industrial Cloud Initiative, also make them ready for the external market. Wow. If you've got questions on the automotive initiative, just send them in to us. Use the chat function on the microsite. Another question to you, Christoph. What concrete projects and use cases in the production are you working on right now? Well, I mean, the deployment of RFID, for example, for vehicle identification and localization, but we've got other smart solutions like driverless transport systems, or we use predictive maintenance solutions to, well, have a look at our equipment, how can that be run more efficiently, and we use already AI algorithm, for example, in quality assurance, just, I mean, that we have the right parts detected in an automated way. Okay, Michael, over to you now. Let's take another look at the technology and engineering side of this. What do you need in the plants to improve your digital work and to work maybe even more efficiently? And as we just heard, to use 5G for, well, communication. Indeed, we also see 5G as offering us quite new possibilities. Simply the performance, I mean, the data rate is 100 times higher than current mobile communication stands, or the low latency times, which is so important for managing equipment or the use cases that Christoph mentioned. This all benefits us and affords us new possibilities for implementing that in the plants. Now, we spoke about smart production at Audi, and in order to achieve these targets, 5G is an important building block. We are developing this technology in the Audi production lab, and we're pretty close to serial production, where we use the technology on the use cases, and that offers us the means to also then bring it quickly into the wider serial production. So we are really a firm believer in that 5G technology, and I think we're well on our way, actually. Some of you say, look, I've also got 5G on my smartphone. Well, if I pass Nexum, the plant, let's see what I can hear and find out about their 5G network. Is that possible, or are you sort of hermetically sealed off? No, we put great value on having our own campus network, as we call it. We will have our own campus site network. I mean, the technologies and the frequencies are, of course, reserved for industry, which affords us then the means and the possibility that the operating and the management and maintenance of that network is in our own hands. And of course, when you look at warranty, if you look at the protection of confidential business information and patents, all of this can be realized with our own campus network. And of course, the capacities in that network need to be prioritized according to our needs, so that by use case we can distribute capacities. At the end of the day, this performant infrastructure of that network shall be used to make an agile and flexible production possible as part of the Audi Smart Production. If you hear all this driverless transportation systems, robots and the likes, I mean, do we still need our Audi experts, and where do we need them in the plant? Oh, definitely. I think we need even more of these experts, especially if you look at technologies like digitalization, IT or electromobility. We need more experts. And for us, it's vitally important, and that's also Vorsprung durch Technik, that people and machines need to be connected intelligently and need to work hand in glove, and that also our workforce, I mean, shall I say, well, we shall move on from boring, dull activities and do, shall we say, higher value work, value creation work. To make this possible, we at Audi have our own academy, the Audi Academy. And already this year, we've planned about 2,000 experts to be trained through that Audi Academy and to be trained specifically in these fields of competence of IT, digitalization or electromobility. Wow, that was a brief overview into the production and the digitalization in production. But of course, there's no need to call it a day here because we can talk about it later in the Q&A session. So thanks for this round. I mean, we all should say that our guests should really visit our plants and go on a guided tour through Ingolstadt or Neckarsulm or any other of our international sites, because it's so exciting to see how modern car production looks like today. I mean, I can only invite you. It's super exciting. I can only encourage you to do so. But this brings us to the end of the presentation show. But now it's time for you, for your questions, your comments. Send them in using the microsite and the chat function. And in a few seconds, we'll continue with the Q&A session.